Hi guys, I made this snatched waist Bubu gown without any pattern and it is perfect for beginners. Stay tuned as I show you how. So for this tutorial, I made use of 3 yards of a crepe fabric. You can make use of a silk fabric or an Ankara fabric. But for this project, I'll be making use of this. So the first thing I did was to take the length of my gown, how long I want it to be, and then I went ahead to mark my shoulder to my waistline, and then I marked my shoulder to my hip line. Then I made a line across just like this. And also on the shoulder part, I made a line on it. I left 1 inch allowance on the shoulder part of this gown. So afterwards, I went ahead to mark out my shoulder divided into two, and also I marked out my neckline, and also I marked how long I want my sleeve to be like. Then on the sleeve area, I came down by 1 inch just like this. Afterwards, I'll connect that 1 inch slope which I made to my neck area. Then I went ahead to mark out my neck width and my neck depth. Depends on how deep you want your neck to be. I wanted mine to be around 7 inches, so I made that mark. But for the back neckline, I just marked out 1.5 inches for my back neck depth. Connected all the lines. I connected that particular line using my curved rule. I did not want the neckline to have this sharp edge, so I just had to use my curved rule to make it a little bit curvy, so it doesn't have to be straight on the v-neck side. Then I came over to my round sleeve. I divided my round sleeve measurement into two. Then I marked out whatever I had, and then I connected it to that 1 inch slope which I made earlier, just like this. And then I went over to my waistline. I divided my waist into two. Since it's a bubble gown, it's not going to be tight. And then I added 8 inches allowance to it, and that 8 inches allowance, that's what I'm going to be marking through from the top to from that place where my armhole is to where the gown length stopped. Just to determine a straight line while cutting, I had to use my straight rule to make a line across, meeting all the points which I've made together, just like this. Also went ahead to take the same measurement which I have on my waistline. I had to take that same measurement on my hip line, and then I had to make a straight line meeting all the points together just like this. And then I made a curve around this armhole, this point here. If you're a beginner and you want to learn how to sew, I offer a one-on-one guidance. You can message me on WhatsApp. The link is in my description. Afterwards, I went ahead to cut it out. But on the top here, instead of that my half inch which I usually leave on the top, I left 1 inch because I'm going to be adding a strap to that place to make a drawstring. Mind you, as I was cutting, I did not cut out my front neckline. I started out with my back neckline. Now I've gone ahead to remove my back piece. Now I'm cutting out my front neckline just like this. And this is it for the cutting of this particular piece. Now we are going to move to the next part. So I've gone ahead to sew in my facing for the back neckline, and also for the front neckline I've gone ahead to fix in my facing just like this. So the next thing I'll do is I'll bring the two of them together, and I'm going to be sewing along the shoulder parts with 1 inch allowance. I'll be joining the two pieces together with 1 inch allowance on the shoulder parts. And this is how it is like after I was done joining the two pieces together on the shoulder part. I used 1 inch because I'm going to be adding a strap to the space on the top part. Okay, so what I did next was to take it to my ironing table, and I'll press it open just like this so it stays in place, so that when I'm sewing it doesn't move. So the next thing I did was to move over to snatching my waist. So I came from the shoulder part, from my shoulder to my waistline, and I divided my waist into four. Whatever I got, I marked it there. That's where I'm going to be placing the belt for, to make my bubu gown a snatched waist bubu. So I went ahead to pin it so I can know where I will mark the chalk on the other side. I flipped it over to the other side so I can mark that same point which I marked at the other side. So I went ahead to mark it. That's where I'm going to be putting my belt. That's where my belt is going to be on. So I went ahead to take the same measurement from my shoulder to my waistline on this other part, and I marked that same point which I did for the other side. So this is the belt that I'm going to put on my waistline. It is 1 inch wide and 30 inches long. So the next thing I'll do is I'll pin it down like this. Then I'll take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to stitch alongside this place that I've pinned, using 1/2 inch to stitch it down. I'll do the same thing too for the other side. And after I finish stitching it down, this is how it is. What I did next was to fold in my sleeve area like this, and I had to stitch it down using 1/2 inch. But to make it easier for you, you first of all sew down the sleeve area before joining your shoulders, but I did mine like this. So the next thing I'll do is to fix in my strap. I came on to the shoulder like this, and I to the next side, and I marked out 2 inches. That's where the strap is going to start from. So I placed the strap inside of the casing like this, and I'm going to pin it down. Then I'll first of all stitch it along the top part, and then I'll sew on the edges. Just watch as I'm going to do it. So after spinning it, this I'm going to sew this part first, and then I'm going to sew along the side like this. As I'm sewing, I'm not sewing the straps which is inside. I'm just sewing on the edges. I'm not sewing on top of the straps, but just the edges of the shoulders. And this is how it is like. Very clean, smooth, easy to sew. And if I drag it on like this, it makes it to have this scrunchy look. So that's how to make this type of shoulders. So what I'll do next is I'll bring the two parts together, and I'm going to sew along the edge using 1/2 inch to stitch it down, and I'll also go ahead to hem the bottom part. And that is it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and if you're new to my channel, you're welcome. And also, if you're a subscriber, thank you for coming back. In this channel, we post weekly videos on how to sew beginner friendly things, and if this is what you're interested in, then you should hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Thank you one more time, and don't forget to share the video.